Okay, here we are back with Paranormal Happenings and Starseeds Envoys. I'm Kevin Kane, and here bringing you your star, Sherrie Schoon. If you don't know me, you can see behind me I'm a haunted doll collector, and I have a lot of many haunted items, mostly dolls. And I'm a published author, and you can find me at myhauntedDolls.com or here on YouTube at youtube.com/myhauntedDolls if you'd like to watch my paranormal videos. Be sure to check those out. And here is Sherrie.
I'm Sherrie Schoon. I also have several Facebook groups, Creepy Dolls in the Paranormal Experience, Creepy Places in the Paranormal, and also our new Facebook group as of last year, Spiritual Awakening Starseeds /Envoys. And you can reach us there. You can also message me if you need. And I guess that's it. Back to you.
All right. We thought we'd do something creative this time and start with introducing one of our dolls or items. And I've got a ton to choose from here. Don't be creeped out by Miss Megan back here. She's just a replica doll. She is not going to start singing or dancing. But I do have a doll that's a little bit active, a really cute one right here next to me. And her name is Bee. Like Beatrice, but Bee. Now, I don't think she's an American Girl doll. Do you recognize this type of doll, Sherrie?
I don't.
And it may just be a generic type of brand. I know I got her off of Temu just because she looks so cute, but I had no idea I was going to be getting yet another haunted doll. They can come from anywhere, I guess. She has spoken through the spirit box a little bit. All I know is she and the other spirits that like to chatter on my spirit box said that she is a 3-year-old girl. She does love these little balloon lights that I don't think it's on, but I do put it in her hand and let her hold it, especially when I'm just like that. I don't know if you can see it on camera.
Yeah, don't they light up? Like
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they're kind of pinched or, pushed on there, they do light up. And this one's even prettier because it does multicolored lights.
Wow, nice.
So, but I have to, sometimes I accidentally say cat ball. It's not a cat ball, it's a balloon light. But it works kind of like a cat ball, same principle. She will light it up, but don't expect her to turn it off. Once she turns it on, she's a happy girl and she does not want it off.
Some of the paranormal tools.
Yes. And she has set off. I do have a REM pod over here somewhere. Oh, I moved it out of the way. I don't have it with me. I do have a REM pod device, which, to put it in very understandable terms, it's like a box with an antenna on it. And when it's switched on, if something touches it or something with heavy energy comes near it, it starts beeping. And she has set that off before too.
So it's like an EMF box.
Yes, like an EMF. So, but the story for her I don't have yet. All I know, she's shy as far as talking, but she does like to strike a pose. I came here one day and her doll that kind of leans back against one of the others, but she had her whoops, not that far out. She had her stomach pitched out and one leg was back, one forward. And all I can do is swear to you that it was not like that the day before. So I think one of the other girl dolls, the girl spirits, helped her pose. So she's a little cute thing, but she doesn't shout a lot like some of these others. But hopefully one day I'll have more of her story and I can share that here. But she's a very sweet little pumpkin. And I'm putting her back where she belongs. All right. And you have a doll there, Sherrie, to introduce?
Yes. I actually have Harry. I think you remember him. That's this one right here. He is from the 1800s. He's a paper mache over composition. Actually, it's a let's see, it's a paper mache wax over paper mache. I can't get it right here. Um, and he has pupilless eyes, and he's very very tall. He's about like 27 inches. He has real human hair, and I got him from a friend of mine that actually. I love his dress. Look, he has little boots. It's so cool. I mean, actually, his shoes are from the 1800s as well. His whole dress is really pretty cool. But anyway, he's a really neat doll. I got him from a friend of mine that actually he scared the shit out of her. Um, totally. I think I remember telling you that my friend. I have a lot of well, obviously, I have a lot of doll collector friends. And she had she had gotten him, and she thought he was very interesting, but he was really scaring the crap out of her. And so she brought him over one night when I had other dolls, and she was thinking about purchasing one of my dolls. And so she brought him to show me, and she was telling me that she had not been able to sleep very well since he had gotten into the house, and that she kept hearing like voices, and like somebody was following her, and um, he was doing stuff like knocking things over. Oh, he hid. I guess it was a big window fan, and it was hot in the summer, especially in Georgia, and so if her air conditioning wasn't working very well, and I guess you cannot hide a huge big box fan. It just disappeared. She started blaming her husband and started blaming her kids, and nobody knew where it went. Just up and disappeared. Um, anyway, when I seen him, I was thinking, ooh. I said, I like him, and she goes, really? And I said, yeah. Oh my goodness, you got your handful. You got a handful right there. And so she was like, she goes, I don't know if I like him. And so we went up and looked at some dolls, and my I called Taryn husband came by and looked at the doll and says, who's the creepy doll, or who's the creepy guy on the couch? And it was just so funny. We started laughing. Um, when we started to leave, or when she started to leave, she forgot to take him. And so I picked him up, and I'm waving with his hand, bye. And she's like, bye, I'll see you later. And I'll let you know about the dolls and stuff. I said, what about your doll? And she goes, oh. And she was like, totally forgot about him. I'm like, yeah, uh-huh. And she goes, and I said, how about this? I said, I think she was afraid of him. I said, think about it. I said, if you, instead of paying for one of these dolls, we can swap for him. So she goes, okay. She goes, well, let me think about it, and then I'll get back to you tomorrow. The next day, she calls me early in the morning and says, you can have him. And I'm like, what happened? I guess more funny stuff just totally scared the shit out of her with him. And she'd had enough. So she wanted to get rid of him immediately. So she brought him over in her car. And when she was in my driveway, I guess the windows, she couldn't get out of her car, for one. For some reason, the locks weren't working. Then the window started going up and down, up and down. She started flipping out. She said she couldn't get his foot off of something, and it was just crazy. As soon as she got out of the car, she ran to my door and knocked on it really quick. And then as soon as I opened the door, she threw the doll at me and said, "You can have him!" Oh my God! She was like, "You scared the shit out of me!" And I'm just thinking, "Oh my God!" It was so hilarious that I could see he had a big. Oh my God! He just thought that was just, you know, uh, he just thought that was the funniest thing. And his personality is all about, how do you say? He's a prankster. He's about a 12-year-old. No, I'm sorry. He's about probably an 8 to 10, somewhere around like 8 or 9 years old. And the name I got from him was Timothy Harrison, but he likes to go by Harry. I don't know why. So it's like a nickname. And but he definitely has a presence. He scares people when anybody's around him. He just gives off this really strong frequency or vibe. I don't know. But I think I love him. And I did actually have to do some little touch ups and restoration on him because his legs, I didn't realize that were, because he's compo, like his legs. And so his face is like a type of heavy paper mache. It's not even composition. I thought it was composition, but it's like a paper mache with wax over it. And so, but his legs are compo, and so is his arms. So I actually had to restore them, and which I do that. I learned to do that a long time ago. In order to keep a big collection that I do, in order to keep them in pristine condition, I have to check them and I restore them. I keep them in a very climate change, a very good temperature in the house and in the room, in the doll room that I have. So so I try to keep them as best as I can to preserve their their little vessel. So anyway, he's a really, I love him. I think he's just absolutely wonderful. But a lot of people seem to really be spooked by him, just his presence. And he does look a little creepy, but I like creepy. I've liked it ever since I was 16 years old. That doesn't bother me one bit. I've been around, ghosts and, demonic forces and, just all kinds of stuff. So that doesn't bother me one bit. So, but yes, so he's a really great doll. We can't hear you. I think you're muted.
There you go. I've had my experiences with Harry as well, visiting you, actually spending a few nights there. But funny enough, he was waiting until the day I left. I don't know if you remember that when he kept getting in my head. I kept saying Harry in the middle of everything.
Every time you talked, the Harry was coming out, and you kept saying, "Why am I saying that?"
Yeah, we were going out the door, about to go out the door, and I turned around, said, and then Harry, and you just busted out laughing. And then we're getting in the car, talking about directions, and I'm going to follow you to the Panda Express.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, so when I get on the road to follow you, Harry, and I said, that little booger has gotten in my head. I felt like I didn't feel threatened by it. I felt friendly, and that was his way of saying, hey, I felt like it was, hey, I like you. I enjoyed having you here, and I hope you come back kind of thing.
Right.
It was funny. I was laughing the whole way following behind you.
Oh, he loves it. He loves it. He loves to visit people, especially when they visit. I think it was, remember Linda?
Yes.
Lives in New Orleans. They stood with us when they visited, and she's seen him. She's seen a kid that she goes, it was a very tall, skinny kid with knickers. I said, yeah. I said, you seen Harry? She goes, I thought that was him, but I wasn't sure. She goes, he was messing around because they were staying in our camper, when they visited, and she seen him messing around in their bedroom. It kind of freaked her out. So, but she was, she realized who it was, and she's like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, Harry's visiting us in the camper. So anyway, yeah, he loves company. He loves visitors.
Oh me, yeah, we have some great experiences here with our spirits, and I definitely have plenty to share each episode. There's one that likes to belch through the spirit box. I can't wait to tell his story next.
You got to post that one.
Oh yeah, I need to clip TikTok live for the host. It has a function where it archives the live for about 30 days. And I have to remind myself, go in there and download that and clip those little snippets of him belching.
That would be really
hilarious. And not to get into a story about him, we'll save him for another episode. But that reminded me to ask because that was a doll that came from Gil. You remember Gil?
Oh yes, was his name Michael? Michael Gill, or no? Was it Michael Gill?
It was Gilman Ross, I
Yes,
think.
yes. Gilman. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
he disappeared.
He passed away.
He passed away.
Yep. I heard about it. I think it was 2 years ago that he had died, and so I got confirmation from a good friend of his or something like that. I was like blown away. I was like, wow.
I know
Yeah.
he just disappeared, and I thought, well, he's probably gone into, off the grid or something again. But I wonder what happened to him. That
He went to the other side.
yeah.
I do have
Well,
a few of his dolls. I do have a few of his dolls.
yeah, that belching doll come from Gil, and one of my other most energetic dolls. I'll introduce her on a future episode. She came from him. A few of the others I got have not done anything, but I know a lot of people wonder: is Gil, is he for real or not? But I have some dolls of his I cannot dispute.
Mm. Oh yeah, I've gotten some beautiful dolls from him. Well, of course, I get the antique ones, the 1800. Yes, and I just showed a little bit of the Amar Marcelli doll that I got today. That took me probably about an hour to restring, which usually it only takes me 10 to 15 minutes at the most. They are hard to restring, but I've been restringing ball jointed dolls for years, so I know how to do all that stuff because like I said, I've been a doll collector for, gosh, really long time. I feel old, but well, my soul's old, so anyway. But it all matches. But yeah, so maybe I bet you one of your haunted dolls kicked you off. Always
I, believe,
electrical problems.
I believe so. Um, May even leave that in there just so the audience can see that because things like this happen.
Yes, there's always electrical. There's TVs turning on, off. There is lights turning off and on. There is furniture moving. I've seen furniture move.
Oh
I've
yeah.
seen, well, of course, I've seen children. Actually, it's funny because I think it was, this was a long time ago. This is probably about 8 years ago. I was on the balcony. It was late in the evening. I was having a glass of wine, just looking out on the balcony. Beautiful night. And I heard one of the girls say, "Mommy," just mommy. And I said, "I'm out here." And I heard them say it again. And so I get up. I'm thinking, well, what's going on? So I get up, and it's not my daughter's. It was, I guess it was one of my ghost children from the dolls or something, because it was a child that looked probably, I don't know, maybe about 6, and she had long brown wavy hair about almost down to her hips. She had a white gown with a white bonnet cap. She looked like from the 1800s. And I seen her, and she smiled at me, and then she just dissipated right in front of me. And I was thinking, okay, that was one of my dolls downstairs. So one of the children. So, but it was loud enough, and she was very visual. I could see her. And I thought it was one of my daughters. It was that loud. It was, very, I couldn't tell the difference if it was a person from, this realm or the other realm. But obviously they punched a hole over here and came in, because sometimes they do that. I mean, they become so visual and so solid that you wouldn't know the difference. I do. I feel the difference, and I know the difference. And these dolls that have attachments to them, they like, I don't know what it is. Everywhere I go, I guess they can see your aura. They can see you, the spirits on the other side, because they always cling to me like, I don't know, like static, like, when you have like stuff that just wants to stick to you.
Yeah, static
So,
electricity.
yeah. And so I usually have that type of effect. My friend Brandy, she, she bought this house. I'm surprised the house that she did buy, because she actually, she doesn't like spooky anything, and she has a lot of psychic ability. But she would always see ghosts and stuff like that. Didn't like it. Didn't want to have anything to do with it. And so the house that she bought with her husband totally shocked me, because I thought she was going to buy a brand new house, something with that was nothing that was older or anything like that. And she bought this old house, and she wanted me to come over and see it. So, or to see her house. So I come over to her house, and I'm thinking, when I get there, I'm like, what the? I felt like I was looking at the, what is it called? That one movie, The Legend of Hell House.
Yes. Yeah.
It was like, I'm thinking, oh my God. And I'm thinking, seriously? And she goes, I don't know what it is. I just fell in love with it. I was like, oh my God. And I didn't want to tell her, you got a lot of paranormal shit in there. I didn't say anything. I was just thinking, okay, as I'm walking through, I could feel these entities. There was a male there, and he actually was clinging to me. And so she goes, so what do you think? She goes, do you feel anything? Do you see anything? I'm like, do you really want me to be honest? And she was like, yes. And so I told her, I said, you got a male here. You got somebody here. And I said, and if he's not the only one. So, and she said, I thought there was a male, but she goes, I thought I seen him. And my daughters, have seen, we're feeling and seeing this, and, and a lot of unusual stuff is, I said, I'm surprised you bought this house. So it was just I was just shocked. So, but when I left, the entity came with me, and I came home, and my Taryn husband wasn't here. My daughters weren't here. So it was just me. So they had gone somewhere, and they were supposed to come back. And so I'm sitting in the living room, and I thought I heard the kitchen door open and close. And I heard steps, and I said, I'm over here, so I'm letting them know that I'm in the living room. I don't hear anything coming towards me. So I'm thinking, I said, are you guys here? And I walk over there. I look all over the house. There's nobody. And I'm thinking, oh my God. And then I heard him upstairs. So I go upstairs, and he's not up there. I'm thinking, oh my God. And I kept hearing these crashes and these noises. And I'm thinking, okay, he followed me home. So I went and I texted Brandy, and I said, your little ghost followed me home. And she started laughing. She goes, well, I thought it's funny. She goes, I didn't feel him. She goes, he's not here. And I said, that's because he's over here. So, and you just got kicked off again. Okay. Here we go again. I guess Kevin's dolls are having fun with you.
Yeah, I don't know if you can now switch to my laptop camera now. I had my other camera hooked up. They are. I think, just in case, I'm going to unhook this camera.
Okay, I think you're muted. We're having all kinds of issues today.
There we go. I should be
perfect. Okay.
Audible. So we'll just this one then. And now let's see. Last week, or the last episode, we talked about the Starseed Envoys.
Yes.
And I thought of a question on that, because I know you talked briefly about your when you started out in the witchcraft. It was the Wiccan, yes, I believe.
Wicca. Yes, Wicca.
Then when you started getting out of that into the moving toward God, you went through the attack and everything. I know you had to put your faith in Christ, and then there's and then now you've got the Starseed Envoy. I was wondering, did your belief change, or do you still, or is there a way to what's the term I'm looking for? I used earlier.
Blend it.
Balance. Do you balance it or blend it? Yeah. I was curious about
Uh,
that, or if you.
yeah, well, that's a good question. Actually, everything about Wicca, I did believe it wasn't the full. How should I say this? Um, it wasn't. It was part of the truth. It's just like all religions, because what I learned over the years that when I got into Wicca, it did answer a lot of questions and about the occult and ghost and all that stuff. I started adding ceremonial magic. So and I was having interaction with a lot of entities at that time. Some good, some not so good, but just a lot of different stuff. Um, but I think being a starseed, and I didn't know it at the time, it it started. They knew the deep state could see the starseeds. We are way brighter than the Terran souls that are new, and so they could see us, and they know us. Um, I think with a lot of us, some of us they don't bother so much. I mean, they'll bother you, but if you start to get out there and start to tell the truth, and you start raising up and getting other people aware of the truth, oh, okay, then that's where they say, oh, we got to do something about that. That's where they'll attack you. You either join their side or you're with the other side. And if they can't control you and they can't shut you up, they're going to come after you and they're going to threaten you. And if you don't do what they say, then they will try to take you out. So with that being said, I was like I said, I had my own coven, and I was with I knew a lot of the covens on the West Coast at that time, and I'd been in it for, I guess, probably close to 12 or 13 years. Um, and I think because I was working with not just being Wicca and had my own coven, but working with ceremonial magic and all this other stuff, they didn't like it, and they seen me actually evolving, and that they couldn't have that. If they did, it would have to be, I'd have to be on their side. So they approached me saying, since you're knowing the truth, um, we want you to be with us. And if you're with us, you would have to be a black witch and blah, 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 and all this other crap. And I was like, no. And when I said no, that a lot of bad things started happening to me. Like I said, they killed my two familiars. They were black cats, one spooky and one banshee, and both of them were killed in the strangest way. It looked like they were dipped in some type of oil, and
Oh
they looked like
wow.
they were scared shitless because it almost looked like a Halloween cat because their mouth was open and like hissing, and they were frozen, and that was on my front lawn. And then I was like, I didn't know, didn't know what had happened to my first familiar. So, and then a couple of weeks later, the same thing happened with my other cat, but it was on the back step of my door. So as soon as I opened the door, it was the same thing. It was like dipped in some type of oil. I don't know what it was, but they killed it, and it freaked me
Gosh.
out. And so I felt that hit, and I was thinking, oh my God. Um, Another thing that they told me to do, this is when they started to attack me, and they were killing my animals, and then they tried to get me to kill my children.
Oh jeez.
I never mentioned this to anybody. I told my family when it happened. It freaked me out. But I was watching my oldest son, which he was like, I don't know, maybe 2 years old or something like that, and my nephew, which was also 2 years old. They were close in age, they're about a month apart. And I was making sandwiches, and a voice told me to kill them with the knife.
Jeez.
And just said no. And I was so upset, and it freaked me out. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing, that I dropped the knife, and I didn't, I freaked out, and I ran down the block to my cousins, and I said, you have to go. Somebody has to go with my kids. I didn't want to be around them because I had that demonic voice around me. And I mean, I was crying. I was freaking out. So my other cousin went to where my boys were. My other cousin was praying with me. And this is when I realized, and then I was getting physically attacked. I would have, like I said, I'd wake up in the morning, or in the, early in the morning, like at 5 a.m, and I would be pinned down. And when I would wake up, I would see some type of, I seen this big ball of black swirling smoke energy, and it was humming. And I rebuked it, and I said to get out, and I yelled at it, and I commanded it, and it moved out of, it just went through the wall and went out, and it left. But I mean, I started having that. I started being pinned down. I mean, there were still 1,000 things that were happening. I was starting to feel sick. So, in the daytime, it was just a lot of stuff. So I think there was a lot of, I think even possible, possession. I mean, they were just trying to get at me, no matter how it was. So I said, at this point, I said, even though I am not into dogma and I knew the truth about it because of, the Wicca, I had to do something, and it had to be drastic. It took me a whole damn year to get rid of it. And it wouldn't just attack me. It would attack my animals. It would attack my children. It would attack my father. Anybody that was around me, it would attack. And anybody that would help me, it would attack. So I had to go to my father's church, and it was a Seventh-day Adventist, and they believed in ghosts and demons and da-da-da-da and all this stuff. So I did that. And then I think it took me, I think at the end of the year, I just said, in order to shed this, I'll get baptized. So I got that day to get baptized. They did their best. These demonic forces did their best to make me sick. I could barely walk up the stairs to get into this, to get upstairs, to get into this robe, to go get, baptized. I actually literally passed out in the back, and everybody was freaking out. Now I had gotten, I guess, a little bit of a reputation because I was on TV and the news and stuff with other covens, so people seen me, my family seen me, friends, people I didn't know that would come up and say, you're that lady that was on the TV. And I was thinking, oh, yikes. And so it was a big deal that they said, they told my whole life story. This lady was, 12, 13 years old. I mean, 12, 13 years in Wicca and the occult. And, now she's being baptized, and they were telling my story about how I was getting attacked and my family. So people were just like, wow. And then I'm passed out in the back because I'm being attacked again before, they didn't want me to get into the water. So, but when that happened, they went and told the pastor, because he was in the water waiting for me. But they said, she's passed out. She can't breathe. And I mean, because I started to feel like I was suffocating. And so he said, go get my wife. So his wife went back there, and she seen me on the floor. And so she just grabbed me and started praying over me. And probably within a matter of 5 minutes, I could breathe. I was okay. I was fine. So she said, are you okay? And I said, yes. And so she goes, put your robe on. I'll be right here. And then I'll take you out to the water. And so I did. And the whole entire time going to the water, I could hear them cussing me out big time, saying, you stupid bitch. I mean, just all kinds of ugly stuff, saying you traitor, this and that. I'm thinking, oh my God. But as soon as I went into the water and I came out, it was done. They were gone. Now, I guess some people would say, well, it's your thinking. Well, probably it was, because, we've been programmed from the get-go since we've been born. We don't know about what the cabal has been doing. Oh, I shouldn't even probably say that. the deep state. Sorry, the deep state. What they've been doing. I mean, it's from the government. It's from our schools. So, as soon as you're born, you get a long little number. That's a social security number. It's just all these things. So and then we're getting vaccinated. We don't need any of that stuff. But so they've had us in a really big tight hold, and with when you start to break away from that, they get pissed off. They don't want that happening. So unfortunately, I had to go to because I had to go somewhere that was a light source. And yes, I'm not too much into the dogma, but Christianity does have a light to it. So, and it did work. And I was there for, in the church for many years. But then again, the call, I started astral projecting. I started hearing, when I would astral project, I would hear angels and all this other stuff. I did know the Bible pretty well, because I read it several times and I studied it. I always like to study everything. So, but towards the end, when I started to awaken, especially probably, like I said, about in 2024, I think in 2020, well, what is it, 2015, 2016, I started to awaken some. I started seeing differently, with, the government and stuff like that. As we went into, 2017, 2018, 2020, I started seeing a lot of things differently. I mean, I was stunned, the stuff that was coming out. The more we got, and then when I started listening more and more to my soul, because it was really driving me. I was starting to have a lot of, I'm a very lucid dreamer. So I've always been that way. I've always been able to feel things, see the future. I mean, just weird stuff, stuff that you don't really tell most people, and they wouldn't understand. And so, about 2024, when I finally started to awaken, it changed everything for me. The way I looked at religion, dogma, all of it. And that's why I started doing a lot of classes in 2020. I think it was 2025. I started doing a lot of classes with, different spiritual teachers. And I did that for a whole year. And I started meditating because I started listening to my higher self. My higher self, on top of meditating, suggesting that I do it every day. Also, what came my way is that I had to clean up my eating. I felt that in my soul. So I became vegan. Now I was vegetarian a long time ago for 10 years, but then I came back to, eating a little fish and poultry and stuff. But so I always kind of ate pretty well. But when 2024, it said, when I started meditating, I started seeing things differently. And so I went vegan. I for a lot of reasons. And then I think by the end of August in 2025, I actually stopped drinking any type of alcohol at all. Nothing. And I like my wine. I love wine. I love the taste of it. It's very relaxing. I love to go to those vineyards. I mean, I just love all that stuff. I'm not big into, hard alcohol. I'll have a beer or something, but I really love wine. But something told me, and I felt it. I felt it months before it happened, that, you're going to give up wine. And I'm thinking, but I really like wine. But they said, no, you're going to give it up. You're going to want to give it up. And so it's funny. I think it was around August. I felt it coming. I felt it. And I was having, I'd had a couple of glasses of wine that evening, and I felt like this was like the last time. And all of a sudden I got sick. It's like I got a stomachache at the end of the evening, just before I went to bed. And I was thinking, oh my God, this is it. This is it. They're helping me. So I kind of had this, I had like a 24-hour bug. So I couldn't have anything, no food, no, barely drink water, just anything. And I knew it right then. I said, this is a reset. This is what that is. This is a reset. And it reset me. And I realized, I knew right there that I'm not drinking anymore. That's it. And so I stopped. I didn't even think of it anymore. And so I did that. I didn't really tell anybody. I just did it. And then I think it was around in September, something told me to fast. So I started fasting, and I lost like 15 pounds. I had to buy clothes again. I had to buy some more clothes. So I was fasting. I was totally restructuring everything. It was just like my soul was telling me, kind of guiding me to do the, suggest things. I mean, I chose this, but I wanted to do this. It felt right. And my soul was guiding me. And the more I did these things, the more I started having my psychic ability went to a whole another level. I started, I was seeing Sashian so strong. He was, like I said, astraling to me. So I could, I woke up and he's right next to me. I mean, physically right next to me. He's kissing my face. He's kissing my neck. Oh my God. And I'm thinking, oh my God. Yeah, I was just stunned. He was physical. And, so, I see him in my dreams, but to see him in the astral physically, it's like I see, ghosts, but he was more solid. I mean, because the astral could be, if you use your light body, it's a little different, it's lighter, but the astral is a lot more denser. And so, but yeah, I could feel him. I literally could feel his hands and everything. I could feel everything. It was just, it blew me away. But, so I guess all the different things I started doing was guiding me and preparing me and getting me ready to do the things that I need to do before they come, because I know they're coming. And he tells me to be ready. And he tells me this year he's coming to get me. And my star family is, with him and all that. And, so he has literally changed my life and the way I see things. People here, I feel like I've always walked alone. It's funny because when I was younger, I was very, how do you say? I was very popular, but I was only popular because I didn't do what everybody else did. I'm the type of person that goes against the grain. I'm different. And I see people doing things and I'm thinking, why are they doing that? It didn't make sense to me. I'm like, I'm not doing that. You jump off the cliff. I'm not doing that. That's, no. And so people seem, I guess if you're not a follower, I guess you're a leader. I didn't try to be a leader. It's just that I would not do the following. So, and then, so because of that, I always had thousands of friends, but nobody ever knew me or understood me. A few close friends, that, knew about the ghost thing and all that at my house. But other than that, no. But, as far as, all of the, okay, I've lost my train of thought. We were talking about, how I merged. I didn't really merge out of dogma. I literally learned the truth about what is real and what isn't, and what is a program. And I think a lot of us are just programmed, and it's to entrap us so we can be controlled. And I think everybody has to know your own truth. I mean, just because this is my truth, this is my experience, doesn't mean that because I'm experiencing this is what I say, doesn't mean that everybody has to do it. Everybody has to come to their truth on their own terms, on their own experiences, when they're ready. I'm ready. I've been seeing crazy shit all my life. So, and now I'm towards the end of it. And I know, for the most part, I know why. I don't know. I don't have all my memories. I have flashes of memories. I have dreams about certain things. I know certain things, but I don't remember. I remember little bits of my other lives. I remember little bits of Sashian and the way we were, but I don't remember everything, and it makes me very sad. And he tells me, "Don't worry, love." He goes, "We're going to restore all that." There's a reason why, when we came down here, we were wiped from the cabal, basically. But when they visited me, they made sure that I didn't remember, because it would harm me to remember, a lot of details about them.
Yeah.
And so, and we've seen this, gosh, I'd say probably over the last 10, more than 10 years. Anybody who knew the truth, they wound up dead. Even I think it was a Starseed. I think it was last year that they killed him. He got hit by an EMP, electromagnetic pulse. So it's just really sad. So there's reasons why we can't remember. Now, they're coming this year is disclosure. Oh, the date is February 17th, 2026. So we know. So there's a marker there. But yeah, the truth is coming. And today is actually the fire horse. We went into the fire horse. So, and we left the snake. Funny, because last year I was having all these dreams about big anacondas in my dreams. And I was thinking, what the hell? Why am I having dreams about these big fat snakes coming in? I had no idea that last year was the year of the snake. So I'm having all these dreams of these snakes and stuff. And at the end of last year, at the end of December, I had a dream of a fire horse. I had no idea. I was like, why am I having a dream of this horse on fire? I had no idea what that meant. Well, and then we go into, I think it's January, and then they said, we're going into the year of the fire horse. I'm like, what? So I'm kind of like, okay. So I keep getting crazy, all this stuff that comes to me just totally it's comical to me after a while, because it's like, you can't make this shit up. I mean, this stuff happens to me. And and lately I've been seeing a lot of spaceships, and with the last couple of weeks, I see them in my dreams. And sometimes I'll be waking up from a dream. So you're not fully asleep, but you're not fully awake. I call it twilight sleep. There's a term for it, but I don't know the technical term. I call it twilight sleep. And I usually see ships. I hear a lot of, I do a lot of tarot. I do tarot, and I also do crystal ball. So I can see stuff like that. And the tarot, I see a lot. And I usually go from my core, my soul, because I'm very intuitive. And so I tap that into my cards. But a lot of the tarot. So it's funny, because in my dreams, I've never done this all my life until this year, the last 2 months. I'm seeing tarot when I'm waking up. So I'll see like 2 cards. I think one card was the Hierophant and the Magician. I'll see those. And then sometimes there's numbers like 1111, 555. And so I wake up seeing that, hearing it, and I'm like, what the heck? So then I go look to find out what that means and all that. And then I'll be like, oh my goodness. So this has happened like 3 times within the last 2 months. I had it, I think it was 2 or 3 nights ago. And I'm just seeing, tarot cards and the meanings of them. So it's just wild, I guess. And then also I've been seeing a lot of, I seen Sashian last night again in my dream.
Oh, wow.
So he's, it's funny, because they come into your dreams, but I see him and I hear him in the day. I mean, he's here, he's always around me. I hear him. A lot of people, the way I say to them, it would be like a ghost. I could see them. I could hear them. They can't. And he's not a ghost, but that's kind of the only way I can say that it would be like that. People uh, would understand. Um, and it's funny because I noticed that a lot of the envoys that I talk to, we all have similar experiences. And for me, I could hear Sash. He's in my head. He's usually to my left for some reason. I don't know why. Now he can be on my right because I asked him, "Can you be on my right?" And he said, "Of course I can." So I could hear him there. But this is the side. And as I was growing up, all through my childhood, I always heard the voice on my left. I noticed that several of the envoys, whenever I see it, I said, "Do you hear them on the left?" And they're like, "Yeah, I do." And I'm like, "Oh," so a lot of us hear them on the left. I don't know what's that about, but it's just, it is what it is. I did want to clarify one thing though. I know when I astral projected, I think it was when I was a Wiccan, when I purposely did it. I When I came out, I was in awe and all that, and then I got attacked. I didn't when I rewatched, or the episode that we did that, I didn't clarify it enough. When I came out, I was in awe. I felt this hugeness, the air. It was wild. I was like, it was true. But then I got attacked, and when I was getting attacked, I didn't know what to do. And I would think, I called it my guardian angel, but I feel that it was Sash that pushed my soul back into my body to stop the attack. And so, because when I said it in the previous episode, I said I got attacked, and then I was back in my body. Somebody pushed me back or something. It wasn't the entity that pushed me back. The entity was attacking me. There was somebody else there that pushed me back to help me, to save me. So when I got back in my body, that's when my eye was swollen and all that stuff. And then I didn't want anything to do with that. And then I lost control of the whole thing. But I'm in control now. That was years ago. But I wanted to clarify that. So the guardian angel or Sashion did not attack me. It was a deep force. Actually, it was an entity that was very, very dark that attacked me. And my celestial, or my group, in Sashion, was the one that pushed me back to save my butt, literally. So but now, I don't have any issues when I astral at all. If anything, I have some crazy stuff. I mean, I'm on different planets, I'm in different dimensions, I'm time traveling. I was in the Tower of Babel. I was thinking, what the hell? I was with some Indian lady from India, and I was looking around. I'm thinking, where the hell am I? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm in the Tower of Babel. Freaky shit. And then after that, I woke up. I was thinking, okay, so it's just really weird. It's some of the stuff I don't. Yeah. I write it in my book. I could literally, my dream book could be a book. I mean, I could publish that shit, and it was because it's wild, a lot of stuff. But yeah, that was really, really crazy. And but so I was in Egypt, and it's funny when I astral projected out for that. When I went out, because now I just say, okay, what do you want me to see? And I push out when I wake up in that astral or the light body. And when I went out, this was different. I went out, and then I did a somersault, and I went left, and I just shot, and I was seeing colors, and it was almost like a tunnel. And I was going past the wall of Egypt, and it was just crazy. So I started seeing all kinds. I mean, I see a lot of wild things, so it's hard probably for people to understand if you've never astral projected or out of body experience or time travel. I didn't know I could do any of that crap until 2024, until I started to meditate, clean up my eating habits, and stop drinking, and just all this stuff. And now my like I said, I did tell my Terran husband the truth about everything. I did tell him about my well, I told him about my star family. I didn't really tell him about Sashian until I had no choice, because it was time to tell him, because he was wanting too many wifely duties. And I was like, and Sash did not like it at all, because I was awake now. One thing is to not be awake, and I didn't know he was existed. And now I know he existed, and I'm in love with him. And I, you know, I couldn't be with this other person. I've been with him for 26 years. I have never, cut him off or anything like that.
Mhm.
But it didn't feel right. So, and Sash didn't want me, I could understand that. And so I had to tell him, the truth. It felt funny. I didn't like him touching me. And so anyway, um, I told him, I told you about the Star family, right? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, I need to tell you something else. And so I told him I also have a star husband. And I didn't know how he was going to take it. I thought it was, for all I know, he wanted to divorce me, throw me out. I don't know. But I felt I had to tell him, and I did. And he just said, well, how long have you been with him? And I said, forever. Many lifetimes. I've been, we've always been together, because we're really ancient, ancient old souls. He processed it, and he said he needed to process it, and it's been fine ever since. And Sasha's perfectly fine with it. And so, we just kind of live in the house and just do our thing, so I'm basically just, still help with the animals, because we run a chicken sanctuary. So we still do that. It's a lot of work. Ugh. And with the kids, we still have our two girls here, they're teenagers. So, just as far as all that, I think that, we're just waiting for disclosure, waiting for our star family to come, and my star husband. A lot of us are waiting. So, and it's around the corner. It is around the corner. I feel it. And so, and I'm seeing it in my dreams, and I'm waking up with ships and stuff. So it's really crazy. Did I answer your question about the whole religion thing? Because as far as Christ is, I feel that he is our brother, but
Oh,
he is not. As far as worshiping him, I don't worship anything, because we have God within us. We are a fractal of source. We are a fractal of God. So, and our heart center, that's Christ. We are Christ centered. So, I love Christ, but he's my brother, so we, we are co-creators with, source, with God. So, we are all one. It's kind of like what Trump says, we are all one, and it's true. So I think the deep state, the cabal, actually changed, anybody, Buddha, anybody that came in, they had to, kind of mess with us and make us worship them, and then throw out all this history that was distorted about the truth. Because a lot of, I think personally, and I've heard this, that a lot of the Bible, a lot of the books were removed, like the Book of Enoch. Like, I read the Book of Enoch as well. So a lot of books and they were found under the Vatican. So there's a lot of stuff that they found out of the Vatican. So can't wait to hear about that. With a lot of the missing Bible books. So there's a lot that's coming out, and I don't. We are all equal, no matter how old I am or how young people are. It doesn't matter. We're all equal. We are all fractals of God. We are all brothers and sisters. So it's all about love, because we are love. So I didn't know if I fully answered your question, but I hope I did.
yeah, you did. I was wondering how did you know you were in the Tower of Babel? I wanted to ask about that.
Because I didn't when I was. It's funny when woke when I woke up and I was in an astral, and I was traveling, and before I knew it, I was in this big, tall. It was very high up, and it was just weird. And I was thinking, where am I? And then I seen this Indian lady from India that was there with me, and we were both looking at each other. And I
Okay.
said, "Where are we?" And something told me in my gut, my soul said, "Tower of Babel," and I'm like, "What the heck are we doing here?" And I was kind of tripping, and all of a sudden, boom! I woke up, and I was like, "Why was I in the Tower of Babel?" And I have a friend of
Yeah.
mine that's a psychic, and she said, well, not that you were literally, she goes, you were there, but didn't mean that you were born there. And she goes, you're a time traveler. And I've had several people that looked into my Akashic records, and they said, boy, you time travel and you're an old soul. And I'm like, yeah. so so I've seen a lot of different psychics, because I want to see, because even though I'm psychic, I want to see what others see, and to help me piece together stuff and see if they can see something that I don't. And I can tell when people tap into me. So, but there's been several people that were really good, that I really liked, and that I feel that tap into me. And then I think there was one that she was lying. She wasn't tapping into me. She was using it. And the good thing, I mean, the sad thing about it was that she does have psychic ability, but she was using it to make money and distort the story,
Oh,
and have you come back, and have you, pay for services. And I'm thinking, no. So I
yeah.
said, I'm leaving. So no, that, and I remember her whole family were gypsies, and it's just really sad, but anyway, so I remember telling my other friend that was a psychic, that's very good psychic, and I told her about, she goes, oh, I heard about those people. And she goes, and I heard that about these gypsies. She goes, I didn't realize there were some over here. She goes, I bet you they're a part of this one group. And I said, maybe. So it was interesting, but anyway, yeah. So I don't know. I wake up going to a lot of different places. I've been on the Nile.
Oh, with
I,
Cleopatra?
I it's something I don't really talk about, except I haven't really said anything on it has to do around that. Um, but I was in a big, beautiful, fancy boat, and I was on the Nile, and I've seen how I was dressed, and I seen all this gold cuffs and stuff all over me. It was crazy. And it's funny, before the dream ended, because it was kind of like a dream astral, but it was more of a, I don't even know how to explain this. It was kind of, it was a dream, but it had an astral thing to it. But in the dream, in this, before I woke up, I had this same call. It said, I started seeing my mother back then in Egypt, and she had gone to Shambhala. And I didn't know what Shambhala meant at that time. She said, in the boat, she said, remember me. She goes, and she said Shambhala. And so I had no idea what that meant. And I woke up and I'm like, remember me. And I felt like it was my mother, from that time. And when I found out later, Shambhala is part of Inner Earth. And Inner Earth, I was kind of like, what? So now, and from what I understand, it's just, the more I find out, the more I'm blown away, and I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And as far as the Egypt thing, I even seen timelines of Egypt in, like, when I was 6 or 7, in my house, going through this portal in my, between the living room and in the hallway. And I remember seeing oh my God, just all kinds of crazy. Uh, it's, I seen what looked like a parade of Egyptians with this big, I don't know, what people, the carriage, and they carry.
Yes.
Okay, so it was one of those, um, and there was a long line. It looked like a little parade, and it was
Oh
going
gosh.
going into the living room, and I was thinking, oh my god! And this is when I was young, and it scared the shit out of me. I didn't know what that was. I see this little parade of people that look kind of funny looking, and so yeah, I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff. I There's a lot of stuff as far as Egypt that come to me, and I know about it, and I feel like it's natural for me. It's really weird. I've never really talked about it out in the open, because it sounds crazy. It's like my whole life. My whole life is a big crazy thing, just I don't know. It's I'm
Yeah.
piecing together stuff. I know in the end, when my husband comes for me, when Sasha comes for me, that when I get my memories back, I'll know who I am, what I am, all these things, all these lifetimes, and stuff that I forgot, when I came down here, because the forgetting is coming to earth, and now we're just trying to remember. So that's the key, is trying to remember all this. The veils are literally ripping up and dissolving, and so I've had so many dreams of ascension that blew me away, which I didn't even know about. Where there's a storm and it's so bad, and then all of a sudden I'm floating up and I'm transforming, and I see my body actually transforming into this new body. It's just really wild. And I only see, not everybody, but some. So I guess it goes in waves. So, I mean, these are a lot of the visions that I see. And again, I write them in my book, and I tell very close friends that really don't say anything to anyone. And here I'm just throwing up,
Yeah.
all this stuff on for everybody to see. So I look like a nutcase, but I've been a nut
Yeah.
since I was born. So, oh well, it's my experiences. I mean,
Yeah.
people don't have to believe me, but those are the things that I've experienced, and I just, there's nothing to really say about it. That's just my experience. I don't know what to say about
Yeah.
it. And I'm sure at the end, like I said, when we remember everything of who we are, all of us, we'll all know
Yeah.
who we were, all the lives and all that stuff. So, when it comes, I just can't wait.
Yeah. We're definitely going to talk more about. We're coming to the end of this episode, but definitely going to get. I'm sure there's a lot more stories and more information to share.
Oh yeah,
So
a lot of crazy everywhere.
come the
I got
next
I
episode.
got tons.
Yeah. Come the next episode, and I can think of more questions. I'm sure.
Awesome.
Come next episode, we'll delve further into it. But before we wrap it up, is there? I mentioned I have my website, myhauntedDolls.com. I can't remember. Did we mention where they can locate you, Sherrie?
Yes, you can locate me on Facebook at Spiritual Awakening Starseed / Envoys. You can join my group. You answer a few questions. You join the group. You could even friend me on Facebook. I go by Sherrie Leon, Leon Schoen. So Sherrie Leon Schoen on Facebook, and but that's where you can reach me.
All right. So everybody be sure to check that out. And myhauntedDolls.com and my YouTube, youtube.com/myhauntedDolls. And until the next episode, everyone stay safe and watch the skies and whatever else you get. Happy hauntings, I like to tell people. So until the next time, we will see you then.
Bye.
Bye bye.